Alright everyone, welcome to this video game pickup video now. I'm excited to say that I can finally do this video. This is all the stuff I got on Amazon a while back, and I wasn't able to do it because I was still missing that one game. This is, we're talking late October is when I put the order in, and I never received the game. And I've been going back and forth with the guy who claims he sent out another copy, everything else. And it was weird because I emailed him back and I said I haven't received anything, I want my money back. And he goes, yeah, sorry about that, I'll check with my post office, I'll figure out what happened, but I'll just write it off on my, as a loss on my, put an insurance claim out. And I was thinking to myself, what a weirdo. And he refunded me immediately, he refunded me the $21, so I don't know if he's running this scheme where he claims he has all these items and then he doesn't fall through and he claims it as a loss on his insurance. I have no idea, but anyway, suffice it to say, I got my money back so I can then finally do this video. And there's a ton of videos still to come for pickups, but let's go right on into what I've got. This is non-game related. First up, I pick up the complete series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay. 39-disc DVD collector's edition, contains all 144 episodes and more. Now slaying in one extraordinary collection, this must-own DVD set for every Buffy watcher. Loaded with fantastic extras, this collection contains all 7 butt-kicking seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on 39 discs. So jump into your favorite demon-filled episodes whenever you like, or watch all the high-voltage vampire action from the beginning. Special features include cast and crew commentary, season overviews, looks behind the scenes, outtakes, and more. Now, I remember in the mid-90s, mid to late 90s, watching this show with my sister when we got home, you know, on whether it was reruns or whatever the case was, we'd sit there and watch it. The only reason I got the series is, again, I have the games for the systems I own, so I had to pick up the series to go along with the games that I have. As you'll see in my game room, I think I'm going to do a new game room tour early next year because everything should be set up by then. You're going to see I have different bookshelves now filled with games and movies that they were based on, as well as games where they were actually based on books and movies that came out next to the books that were originally books. So it's a pretty cool thing to pick up. Next up, again, staying with the non-game related, I picked up Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, the complete first season. And what I was able to pick up here, Gina Bellafante of the New York Times says one of the most humanizing adventures in science fiction, taut, haunting, and relevant. The mother of all destiny, her son, the future leader of mankind, their protector, a Terminator from the future. Together they must take back the future as Sarah Connor, 300's Lena Headey, prepares her son to fight the war against machines, determined to annihilate the human race. The clock is ticking. Can they stop Judgment Day? Special features, commentaries on 3 key episodes by executive producer Josh Friedman and cast crew, creating the Chronicles, 3-part look at the series production process, both the broadcast version and extended cut of episode 7, The Demon Hand, cast audition tapes, terminated scenes, unaired moments, storyboard animatic, summer glow dance rehearsal, and gag reel. Languages are in English and Portuguese. Subtitles are in English, French, Chinese, or Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Portuguese, and Thai. Episodes only. Bonus material. Trailer may not be subtitled. So anyway, I picked this up, WBTVONDVD.com. I picked this up because I remember watching the series. I watched all 2 seasons of it. It only lasted 2 seasons, unfortunately. It was a great show, but I'm a huge Terminator fan, and obviously I have all the games for Terminator, etc., so I had to pick this up, along with a sealed copy of The Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, the complete 2nd season, which includes nearly 5 hours of never-before-seen bonus features. And on the back, the time today, the stakes, all are tomorrow's. A nascent AI assisted by deadly cyborgs continues to edge toward world domination and the ruin of humankind. It accepts no limits. It fears no one except John Connor. The machines know John, now 16, is the future leader of the human resistance. They know he is growing in abilities. They must find and terminate him, but Sarah Connor is there, protecting and instructing her son as he becomes the man he's destined to be. The hunt is on in a season of powerful revelations, breathless pursuits, and Barova effects. A mysterious three-dot symbol. Do UFOs provide a clue? A girlfriend for John. Is Cameron jealous? A mysterious tech company, Zero Corp, can master the renegade software, The Turk. Season 2's 6-disc action arsenal is lock-loaded, ready to amaze. Special features, commentaries on 4 key episodes by executive producer Josh Friedman and cast crew. The Continuing Chronicles, Terminator, 8-part feature at Gallery. Terminated scenes, unaired moments. The storyboard process, Cameron Goes Bad, illustrates how key sequences are mapped. Cameron vs. Rosie, fight rehearsal and gag reel. The languages are in English and Portuguese. The subtitles are in English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Thai. Episodes only, bonus material. The trailer may not be subtitled. So anyway, this is it's Canadian home video. That's not cool. Well, anyway, you got so I got this complete second season of Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. So again, picked up those. Picked up the Buffy DVD collection, again, only because I have the games, so I now have to have the DVDs. And next up, this is game-related, I picked up a Good Intentions 1985, the definitive unauthorized guide to Nintendo's NES launch. There's a YouTuber on YouTube, obviously, named Jeremy Parrish, who does every week. He has videos from Good Intentions about the NES release lineup and the history behind it of each game, game footage, etc. Plus, he also does Game Boy World. So check out his channel. Just type in Jeremy Parrish. You'll see it. This is a complete index to every game and accessory released for the Nintendo Entertainment System at the system's U.S. debut in 1985, with a supplemental look at the console's Japanese debut lineup throughout 1983, which is pretty cool. And as you can see on the back, you can go to goodintentions.com, retronauts.com, and youtube.com/toastyfrog. So anyway, this is pretty awesome stuff. If you're in a video game reading like I am, you wanted to pick this up. I also have the other books he's written. So I'll throw that over here. And then let's get to the games. First up, this was sealed, but the bottom is coming off. This is for the Sega Genesis from the Sega Club. It's Wacky Worlds Creativity Studio. You can create animated worlds, compose cool music, and includes mouse controller. So it's the package here. And it's sealed. It was factory sealed until the bottom fell apart. But here on the back, creating a masterpiece of pictures and music has never been this much fun or unpredictable. Build 6 animated worlds of your own design using over 400 zany stickers. Use the Picture Studio to move, color, or erase stickers, start and stop the action, and more. Lead the bands and music studio to jazz up your worlds with 48 song stickers and 16 different robo-musicians. Easy-to-use mouse controller included. Personalize your creations, automatically saves, trade with friends, even create video greeting card tridges, recommended for kids 6 to 11 plus. So again, for the Sega Genesis, sealed, sort of sealed, Sega Club Wacky Worlds Creativity Studio. So I'm pumped about getting that. And then let's go into the 4 Game Boy Color games I was able to pick up. This is a sealed copy of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It is pretty rare to find complete in box, let alone sealed. From Fox Interactive and THQ, only for the Game Boy Color, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. I don't think we've been properly introduced on Buffy in your history. Into each generation, a Slayer is born, one girl in all the world, a chosen one. Become Buffy Summers and save the world in this collection of action-packed Buffy episodes for fans on the go. Explore 8 levels, including the Old Mansion, Sunnydale Zoo, and the cemetery. Use Buffy's famous fighting moves to destroy demons and vampires. Each level features story sequences starring the cast, including Willow, Xander, Anya, Giles, Cordelia, and Angel. Then here it says gameplay on the Game Boy Color video game system. www.thq.com, again from Fox Interactive for the Game Boy Color. Sealed copy, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Next up, this is also sealed for the Game Boy Color. We have Disney's Atlantis the Lost Empire. The front of the game is sort of warping a little, which isn't great, and you can't really see it, but it's warped. But on the back here, you might be able to see some of the rips, or not rips, but warping. Only for Game Boy Color, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Join the Atlantis search party. With the aid of a submarine and a mysterious book, get ready to go in search of Atlantis, the Lost Empire. Along the way, encounter huge sea creatures, fiery volcanoes, rogue soldiers, and even a beautiful princess. So here, there's over 10 levels of action. Could this be Atlantis? Jump over treacherous pits, utilize cool gadgets on your journey, and battle ferocious enemies. And it shows you gameplay on the Game Boy Color video game system. From Disney Interactive and THQ, www.thq.com, we have Disney's Atlantis: The Lost Empire, again sealed for the Game Boy Color. Next up, also sealed, pretty rare to find as well, I got the Simpsons Night of the Living Treehouse of Horror, also from Fox Interactive and THQ. Only for Game Boy Color, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. You can see the seal here up top. See the packaging. Help the Simpsons survive the Treehouse of Horror. It's Halloween and the Simpsons' souls are trapped at the base of Bart's treehouse. Help Bart, Maggie, Lisa, Homer, and Marge reach the top of the tree before it's too late. So here you have 7 levels of wacky arcade action, each featuring different Springfield locations. All 5 Simpson family members are playable, plus a bonus level starring King Homer. Defeat Mr. Burns, Principal Skinner, Moe, and others while completing missions. Gameplay on the Game Boy Color video game system from Fox Interactive and THQ. www.thq.com. We have The Simpsons Night of the Living Treehouse Horror. Sealed for the Game Boy Color. And lastly, for the Game Boy Color, also sealed, we have The Land Before Time from Conspiracy Entertainment. Only for Game Boy Color. Littlefoot and his friends got lost while they were playing, and they can't find their way back home to the Great Valley. Help Ducky, Littlefoot, Sarah, and Spike on their hazardous journey through 5 dangerous worlds, defeating all sorts of evil adversaries to get the cute little dinosaurs home safely. It features action-packed journey through 5 worlds, desert, jungle, mountains, etc., more than 20 varied levels, lovingly created characters, and elaborate animated sequences, maximum enjoyment thanks to easy-to-master game controls, all your favorite characters, Littlefoot, Sarah, Spike, Petrie, and Ducky. Again, gameplay on the Game Boy Color video game system. Conspiracy Entertainment brings you a sealed copy for the Game Boy Color of The Land Before Time. So those are the 4. Now, I may have another Game Boy Color in here mixed up. I don't think I do. The majority of the rest of this video is going to be Game Boy Advance, but I'll go right on into it in no specific order. This is sealed. We have Uno and Skip Bo from DSi Games. It's a 2-game pack. It's only for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, and Nintendo DS. It's not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So for Uno, be the first player or team to score 500 points in this classic family game. Play your cards by matching color, number, or word with the top card on the discard pile. When you have 1 card left, don't forget to yell Uno. Skip Bo. Skip Bo combines skill, strategy, and fun in a game that the whole family can play together. Be the first to play all of the cards in numerical sequence from your stockpile to win. So from Black Lantern Studios, Mattel, and DSi Games, a sealed copy for the Game Boy Advance of Uno and Skip Bo, a 2-game pack. Okay. Next up, we have sealed as well, Backyard Basketball, featuring pros as kids with Tim Duncan on the cover from Atari and the NBA. Only for Game Boy Advance, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So, high-flying hoops action. Play 3-on-3 with NBA pros and backyard kids. Pick favorite players or create your own. Hit the court for head-to-head multiplayer games. NBA stars are Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, Yao Ming, Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce, Tim Duncan, Tracy McGrady, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Vince Carter. All 30 NBA teams with super slam dunks and crazy power-ups. Multiplayer games require 1 game pack per player and a Game Boy Advance game link cable sold separately. NBA.com and www.atarikids.com. So sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Basketball featuring pros as kids with Tim Duncan on the cover. Next up, we also have sealed Backyard Sports Football 2007 with Ben Roethlisberger on the cover and other NFL pros as kids from Atari. Only for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, Nintendo DS, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So #1 football video game for kids, all NFL teams, current NFL players, Roethlisberger, Brady, Manning, McNabb, Tomlinson, Alexander, Urlacher, and more. Single game or season mode, new environments and conditions, including snow, tons of hilarious surprises. The only game with NFL pros is kids. You can also see read NFL plays and strategies and custom build your team. It's officially licensed by the National Football League. www.backyardsports.com. From Humongous Entertainment and Taurus Games, we have from Atari Backyard Sports Football 2007 for the Game Boy Advance, and that is a sealed copy. Next up, this is not sealed. It is Math Patrol, The Kleptoid Threat from Tommy Games. GXB Learning Series Level 2 first and second grades. Plays on DS for Game Boy Advance. Only for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Join the elite Math Patrol and battle through more than 70 levels of galactic action as you drive back the evil Kleptoid Empire. So it teaches addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fact families, logic patterns, place valves, money, or place values, money, time, vocabulary, fractions, and word problems. All content based on first and second grade standards. Adaptive gameplay automatically adjusts to continually engage the player. Dynamic content specifically targets the subjects of which each player needs practice. Game Boy Advance games plays on Nintendo DS in a single-player mode. Here it shows you teaches addition and subtraction and teaches money. It is from GXB Interactive, Motivate, Captivate, Educate, www.gxbinteractive.com, and Tommy. These games I buy because I'm a huge math person, and obviously I want to see how a game like this, if you guys remember this game for the Apple Macintosh way back in the day called Number Crunchers, or Number Munchers and Word Munchers. I love those games. So these are the types of games I love to play. And I can't wait to play that at some point in a Let's Play just to see what it looks like. So again, that was Math Patrol, the Kleptoid Threat from Tommy for the Game Boy Advance. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Baseball 2006 featuring pros as kids with Alex Rodriguez, or A-Rod, on the cover from Atari Games. Only for Game Boy Advance, GBA Link Cable, and Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So, play ball with Major League Baseball, Kids Pros, and the Backyard Kids. Pro Kids roster includes Albert Pujols, Ichiro, Eric Gagne, Carlos Delgado, Pedro Martinez, Alex Rodriguez, Alfonso Soriano, Nomar Garciaparra, Vladimir Guerrero, and Ivan Rodriguez, plus secret bonus pros to unlock. You can go deep in the Home Run Derby or draft players or create your own. Pick from all 30 MLB teams, and you can go to atari.com/kids. So again, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Baseball featuring pros as kids 2006 for the Game Boy Advance. Next up, also sealed, we have Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, and Original Memory Game. It's a 3-game pack from DSi Games. Only for Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So in Candyland, come along with us down that rainbow road you know so well. From the gingerbread tree through the peppermint forest, into the gumdrop pass, across the chocolate swamp, and into the candy castle. It's Candyland like you've never seen it before. With Chutes and Ladders, be the first to reach the top. Children learn counting and number recognition as they travel along the game board to get to the top. Land on a good deed space, and a ladder will race you ahead, but watch out for the chutes that can send you back down. An Original Memory Game. Can you remember what's hiding where? It's fun to find matching pictures of your favorite things, 2 by 2. Just flip over cards 2 at a time, trying to make a match. If you find the same 2 cards, you keep them. Find the most pairs, and you're the winner. This is from DSi Games and licensed by Hasbro Properties Group. Again, this is sealed for the Game Boy Advance. From DSi Games, we have Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, and Original Memory Game. These also, I played these games as kids. We all did, so I'm going to grab it also for the video game versions just to see what they're like. Next up, sealed copy for the Game Boy Advance. We have Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure from Activision. It's only for the Game Boy Advance, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Skate like a pro. Hop on your skateboard and zoom through Pizza Planet as Buzz Lightyear, jam across Pride Rock as Simba, or catch Big Jungle Air as young Tarzan. Pull off tricks as characters from Disney, Pixar's Toy Story 2, Disney's The Lion King, or Disney's Tarzan. Skateboard just like the pros thanks to the powerful Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 game engine, and skate through cool movie levels and complete adventures in 3 different game modes. Gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system, www.extremeskateadventure.com, Activision.com. From Vicarious Visions, Pixar, Disney Interactive, and Activision, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. Next up, this is also sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Tom and Jerry in Infernal Escape from New Kid Co. Only for Game Boy Advance, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So you got Tom is in deep trouble again. After getting flattened by a grand piano, Tom finds himself in the underworld, boiling in a cauldron of Spike's cat stew. In order to help Tom restore his good karma and return to his normal life, you must successfully perform missions that have been outlined by Toodles the Angel. If not, the pitchfork awaits. There are 9 levels featuring Tom in a starring role, never-before-seen special powers and moves, unique ability to search the underworld for more lives. Gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system, newkidco.com. So again, this New Kid Co. used to be in Massachusetts, actually, and it looks like now their address is in New York City as of at least 2001. So anyway, Tom and Jerry in Infernal Escape, sealed for the Game Boy Advance. Throw that here. Next up, I'm going to move this back and get a huge look at everything. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Mousetrap Operation Skill Game, where you're the doctor, and Simon, the Ultimate Brain Battle Game. It is a 3-game pack from DSi. Only for Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So in Mousetrap, can you build a better mousetrap? Find out in this fun-filled game of crazy mechanical gadgets and chain reactions. Race to the finish and nab your opponent's mouse before your own gets caught. Operation. Doctor, the patient is here to see you, and he's got quite a few complaints, terrible English, including a broken heart, water on the knee, and butterflies in the stomach. Use all your skill and coordination to remove the patient's, quote, ailments with the tweezers without setting off the buzzer and making the patient's nose light up. When that happens, it's time to call in a specialist. And Simon, the challenge is to repeat light and sound patterns without getting razzed. Can you keep up the pace as the game speeds up? It's the ultimate test of total recall and lightning-fast reflexes. So again, from DSi Games and licensed by Hasbro Properties Group, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Mousetrap Operation and Simon. It's a 3-game pack. Next up, also sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Scrabble crossword game, Scrabble Blast from DSi Games. Only for Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Multiplayer games requires 1 game pack per player and a Game Boy Advance game link cable sold separately. Get out your tiles and spell family fun. Scrabble Blast, an exciting update of the classic American board game, is here for your Game Boy Advance. Enjoy fast-paced Scrabble action wherever you go as you challenge yourself and your friends on 3 different play modes. Take 100 tiles and score as many points as possible. Play the puzzle mode and make words of specific lengths. Race time in the action mode where the pace quickens and the fun does too. The smartest family game ever invented is back with more double-letter, triple-word fun than ever. Scrabble has never been such a blast. So, licensed by Hasbro Properties Group and DSi Games, also licensed by Atari, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Scrabble Blast. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Color. I knew I was missing a Game Boy Color game in here. We have Uno. The best-selling card game comes to Game Boy. Mattel Media ages 5 and up. Only compatible with Game Boy, compatible with Game Boy Color, and a link cable. So Uno, special cards and fun backgrounds add new challenges to this classic game. The best-selling card game comes alive with different card sets, new background themes, and special cards found only on Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Play against friends with the dual-player mode or against 12 different computer opponents. Fun background themes including Wild West, Space, and 60s Groovy. Boomerang, All Draw 2, Swap Hands, and other special cards add to the fun. 3 different modes of play: single-player, challenge game, and dual-player link. Game link compatible between Game Boy Color units. Here it shows you gameplay on the Game Boy and Game Boy Pocket systems, and here it shows you gameplay on the Game Boy Color video game systems. Displays up to 56 colors. From Hot Gen Studios and Mattel Media, www.mattelmedia.com. Sealed for the Game Boy Color, we have Uno. Throw that over here. Did not know that I had one missing in there. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have DK, the King of Swing. Link it up, 1 game pack and 4 players. See back panel for details. Only for Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Swing into action. There's trouble in the jungle, but Donkey Kong's there to put a good spin on things. Take control of DK with a unique control system and leap through jungles and mountain heights on your way to a showdown with the evil King K. Rool. Grab hold. Use the L and R buttons to lunge from handhold to handhold as you swing around and fling the Great Ape into the air. The best of 2 worlds. Innovative level design combines elements of platform and puzzle games. Grab onto gears and spin to crank doors open, but watch out for bolts that loosen as you spin. Monkey Flight. Link up with up to 3 pals in Jungle Jam as you race and battle to become the real jungle hero. Multiplayer games require 1 game pack and a Game Boy Advance game link cable sold separately. So sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have DK, King of Swing. Next up, also sealed, we have Disney's Peter Pan Return to Neverland from Disney Interactive. Only for Game Boy Advance, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Tinkerbell has been kidnapped and Pan needs her magical powers to fly. Can you help him defeat Captain Hook and rescue Tinkerbell before time runs out? Fantastic flying. Soar in all directions, hover, and attack while flying. Amazing action. Combine flying techniques with fighting moves for aerial acrobatics that will kick some serious pirate booty. Incredible worlds. Explore London, Captain Hook's pirate ship, Skull Rock, and more. Here it shows you unlock real movie scenes from the film on your GBA. Gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system. From Crawfish Entertainment and Disney Interactive. Sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Disney's Peter Pan Return to Neverland. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Popeye Rush for Spinach from Namco. Only for Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Multiplayer games require one game pack per player and a Game Boy Advance game link cable sold separately. Join Popeye and his friends in the ultimate race. Lace up those sneakers and crack open a can of spinach with Popeye and friends in this unique racing adventure. Choose from Brig Bruiser Bluto, Adorable Olive Oil, Cheeseburger Chompin' Wimpy, or Popeye himself, and prepare for a frantic dash to the finish line. 13 methods of travel. Race on foot, by boat, skateboard, pogo stick, jetpack, jungle vine, and more. Compete in 5 thrilling modes: Time Rush, Quick Rush, Adventure, Challenge, and Team Rush, and race with or against a friend in 2-player link mode. Race from the jungle to the moon and beyond, collecting power-ups to bash baddies along the way. From Namco, www.namco.com. Sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Popeye Rush for Spinach. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Connect 4, the original Game of Perfection, and Pop-O-Matic Trouble Game. It's a 3-game pack. This side, yep, here we go. Only for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, and Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So, Connect 4, the original vertical 4-in-a-row checkers game, horizontal, vertical, diagonal. All you have to get is 4 in a row. Take turns dropping checkers into place and try to get 4 in a row in any direction while preventing your opponent from doing it first. Perfection. Be the quickest to fit all 25 shapes into the matching spaces. 60 seconds. That's all the time you have to complete this. Otherwise, out they pop. All the fun of the classic Hasbro children's game, but on a Game Boy Advance. See if you can beat your friends or your own fastest times. Trouble. Want to work out some aggression without shin guards and helmets? Trouble, Milton Bradley's classic race and chase game, is guaranteed to bring out your competitive side. Hop your pegs around the track, land on an opponent's peg, and bump it back home. Keep popping and hopping to get all the pegs to the finish line first. So again, licensed by Hasbro Properties Group and Atari from DSi Games, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Connect 4, Perfection, and Trouble. It's a 3-game pack. Alright, next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Football with Dominic McNabb on the cover. Play with the pros as kids from Infogrames. Only for Game Boy Advance, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Backyard Football, coach your own all-star winning team. It's hard-hitting football action with the Backyard Kids and real pro players as kids. Features all 32 NFL teams. Pick your team logos and playing fields. Create and save custom players. Play head-to-head using a game link cable. Ages 7 and up, play single games or a whole season. Play with the pros as kids, Backyard Kids, or create your own player. Gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system. Visit NFL.com, www.funkidsgames.com. From Infogrames, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Football. Play with the pros as kids with McNabb on the cover here. Bump this back a little bit. Also sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Baseball with Mike Piazza on the cover. Play with the pros as kids, also from Infogrames. Only for Game Boy Advance, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Backyard Baseball. Create the baseball team of your dreams. It's great baseball action with the Backyard Kids and real pro players as kids. Features all 30 Major League Baseball teams. Pick your team logos and playing fields. Create, save, and trade custom players. Play head-to-head using a game link cable. Play with 30 pro players as kids. Play single games, a whole season, or home run derby. Gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system. So again, from Infogrames, www.us.infogrames.com. Sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Baseball. Play with the pros as kids with Mike Piazza on the cover. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Cruisin' Velocity from Midway. Only for Game Boy Advance, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Speed is everything. Grab the steering wheel of 11 different speed machines. Race through 14 tracks, including Las Vegas and Mars. Choose from 3 modes of gameplay: Cruisin' Cup, Championship, and Freestyle mode. Challenge up to 4 of your friends using the Game Boy Advance Game Link cable. Multiplayer games require a new Game Boy Advance Game Link cable sold separately, and here it shows you gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system. www.midway.com, again sealed. For the Game Boy Advance, we have Cruisin' Velocity. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Disney Cinderella Magical Dreams from Disney Interactive. See if I can move this a little bit over, because we still have some games to go. We'll throw that over here. Okay, there we go, we got some room now. Only for Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Play as Cinderella and dance the royal ball. Dance with Cinderella and the prince, help the fairy godmother grant wishes, save Gus and Jock from the cat Lucifer, See clips from Disney's animated film Cinderella. DC Studios, Disney Interactive, BuenaVistaGames.com. Sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Disney Cinderella Magical Dreams. Next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Tiny Toon Adventures Wacky Stackers from Conspiracy Entertainment, www.conspiracygames.com. Only for the Game Boy Advance, not compatible with other Game Boy systems, GBA link cable, multiplayer games require Game Boy Advance game link cable sold separately. Stack 'em and crack 'em. 3 exciting game modes and multiplayer battles challenge you in a riveting test of speed and skill. How will you stack up? Tetris-like gameplay with a twist, animated attacks, 8 characters, and dozens of stages, endless entertainment. Here it shows you gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system. So again, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Tiny Toon Adventures Wacky Stackers. Next up, this is sealed for the Game Boy Advance. We have Walt Disney Pictures Presents Enchanted Once Upon Andalasia. Only for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Join Giselle, Pip, and Prince Edward in this prequel to Enchanted. Outsmart trolls to save the forest animals. Unlock Giselle's musical powers. There's a bonus poster inside. EnchantedGame.com, Disney.com/videogames from Disney Interactive Studios. We have sealed for the Game Boy Advance. Walt Disney Pictures Presents Enchanted Once Upon Andalasia. Put that there. Next up, also sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix from EA. Discover the magic of Hogwarts. Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Explore all of Hogwarts to recruit Dumbledore's army, overthrow Umbridge, and prepare to fight Voldemort and his Death Eaters. HarryPotter.ea.com and www.harrypotter.com. Sealed. Game Boy Advance, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Next up, also sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Spy Kids 3D Game Over. Special 3D glasses included. Disney Interactive. Only for Game Boy Advance, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Attention all Spy Kids. Time to suit up for your next adventure in the third dimension. You played video games before, but never like this. Enter the world of a 3D video game and see what it's like to play games on the other side of the screen. Play as Junie to rescue Carmen. Features 12 action-packed levels and high-speed mega cycle races. Battle the evil toy maker, giant robots, and lava-hurling monsters. Free inside, cover your eyes with 3D glasses and check out the cool 3D images. So from Disney Interactive, www.spykids.com, www.disneyinteractive.com with gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system. Sealed for the Game Boy Advance, Spy Kids 3D Game Over. Next up, also sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Backyard Sports Basketball 2007 from Atari and the NBA. Only for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, Nintendo DS, GBA link cable, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Backyard Sports Basketball 2007 NBA. New graphics and gameplay. Pick players or create your own. Real basketball action. All NBA teams. Play with the pros. Shaq, Iverson, Pierce, Wade, McGrady, Brand, James, and more. Season play, single game, mini games, and multiplayer modes. The only game with NBA pros is kids. Officially licensed by the National Basketball Association. www.backyardsports.com from Humongous Entertainment and Atari. For the Game Boy Advance sealed, we have Backyard Sports Basketball 2007 with Paul Pierce on the cover, and then there's other NBA pros as well. And next up, sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Disney's Atlantis: The Lost Empire from Disney Interactive, not to be confused, and THQ, not to be confused with the Game Boy Color version. Only for Game Boy Advance, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. Search for the Lost City. Shadowed with mystery and guarded by mythical monsters, the legendary lost city of Atlantis has fallen into evil hands. Embark on an epic journey to find the fabled lost city, rescue Princess Kida, and save Atlantis from certain doom. The secrets of Atlantis await you. So here you got 10 levels of action and adventure. Avoid treacherous obstacles, battle ferocious monsters, find other characters to gain power-ups. Gameplay on the Game Boy Advance video game system, www.thq.com from Disney Interactive. Sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have Disney's Atlantis: The Lost Empire. And then the last game that I got from Amazon, also sealed. You can see that there is obviously a theme here. I got a lot of sealed stuff, which is cool. We have a 2 great games, 1 low price, a Looney Tunes double pack. We have Dizzy Driving and Acme Antics from Majesco Entertainment. Only for Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, not compatible with other Game Boy systems. So in Looney Tunes Dizzy Driving, tear up 12 different tracks. Bugs, Daffy, Tweety, and the gang bump, bash, and bounce in the craziest driving adventure ever. It will be loony when you select from 8 of your favorite tunes to race and rumble for the ultimate prize. And Looney Tunes Acme Antics, avoid Wile E's dastardly tricks. Will that crazy Wile E coyote finally catch the Roadrunner? You control Roadrunner's fate. Play as the Roadrunner as you avoid obstacles on the road, fend off zany contraptions, fight boss coyotes, and speed away at full steam ahead to avoid becoming Wile E's next meal. www.majescoentertainment.com. Sealed for the Game Boy Advance, we have a Looney Tunes double pack of Dizzy Driving and Acme Antics. So, I'm going to push these over here. As you can see, we're going to move these around so I can give you a pretty much an idea of exactly what I was able to grab here from Amazon. I got a whole bunch of stuff, as you can obviously see. Then I'm going to move this stuff over here. But as you can see here, these are the games I got. So I'm going to head down all the way down. And then obviously over here I got some Game Boy Color games, 5 of those. Good Intentions, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, complete series, Wacky Worlds for the Sega Genesis, and then Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles. Guys, thanks for watching. This has been that Amazon pickup video I was wanting to do weeks ago, but couldn't because I was waiting on that one game. I ended up not getting, and I ended up getting my money back immediately, so that was nice. Very strange scenario, but nice. And stay tuned. I'm waiting for a couple more things from eBay. I'm waiting for a whole bunch of other stuff, and then I'm going to do some rapid pickup videos that you guys will be excited to see because I got a lot of old school stuff that you guys have never seen me collect for yet. So guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next video.